So thank you all for being here, and we have the opportunity to listen to Dr. Nutifafa this afternoon.
All right, Doc. So you
Yeah.
have 45 minutes to present your work
Okay.
uninterrupted. And then after that, we're going to interact with you. All right. So
Okay.
please, over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Mensah, for um, the nice introduction. I would say today's topic, communicating in science, is a topic that is dear to, I think, all of us, me as well. But what I'm going to do today is not really going to be um, dissecting communication in itself or in science in a way, but I'm going to present to you different aspects, factors, and things to consider, things that you know already that may not have jumped up to you in the first place. And for full disclosure, because I don't want to have copyright issues, so all the examples I'm showing today are from my own lab. So it's also a way of indirectly talking about my own research as well. So just to let you know that all the things that we are talking about can be put into practice with your own work. So that's how I want to approach it. Let me see if the slide is moving around. Nope. Um, yeah, so a nice introduction is done already, but I take my time to do this again for a reason that will become apparent afterwards. So I'm originally from Ghana. In Africa, Ghana is located in Africa. I'm not sure how many, if everybody on the call is from Africa. So I'll make that. And that's where I had my education from. My Bachelor of Science in Physics was from the University of Ghana. From there, I moved to Abuja in Nigeria, an African University of Science and Technology, where I did my master's in what was called then theoretical and applied physics. I did most theoretical work. And from there, I was fortunate. So that was on a scholarship, and I was fortunate to get another scholarship to go to Europe in the Netherlands, um, where I did my second master's. But before the Netherlands, I also had some experience in Togo. So just showing you my trajectory. That's the reason why I can speak French. So me speaking French is not by accident. It's because I've lived part of my time in Togo. So that's basically the reason. So in the Netherlands, I did my master's in nanoscience and gone back there to do my PhD. After finishing the PhD in the Netherlands, I moved to Canada in Quebec, especially in Montreal, where I had 1 year research experience there. My move to Quebec is also uh, consciously decided because my spouse live in Canada. So after so many years apart, there's a need for us to migrate closer to each other, right? So that's mainly the reason. From there, I moved to Colorado in the US, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, which is now the National Laboratory of the Rockies, where I did my research also in the same field of energy, solar energy in general. And after a year there, I was fortunate to be employed by Penn State University in Pennsylvania. So I went back closer to Canada, but not that very close to Canada. So that's where I am now for the past 4 years. So all of that I told you in a map form or visual form can be done also in written. So those of you who don't know Ghana, I like showing this is Ghana, and I'm from the coast, right? So I know Tabiris also has Ghanaian roots, and Eric Moore on the call also has some Ghanaian roots. So there's a lot of Ghanaians here. So I'm proud Ghanaian. And our rivalry with Nigeria is sad that I cannot finish this by saying that Ghana at least went to the World Cup this year, and Nigeria didn't go. So if you're in Nigeria on the call, sorry about that. Even though we didn't go far, at least we stepped foot in the World Cup. So in general, whatever I said now can be also put in a written form, right? So everything I said now is here written down. I will get to that afterwards. So in my lab, we do mostly work in energy. You can agree with me that is a very important aspect of our society. So my work is mostly in materials, different material or the next generation material for optoelectronic applications. So we're talking about solar cells, rigid or flexible electronic devices, light emitting diodes. So we work in the sustainable development goals. We focus mostly on affordable goal number 7, which is affordable and clean energy. Number 2, we believe that with energy accessibility, we'll be able to alleviate poverty, so no poverty. Quality education, because I work as an educationist, so I train students. These students, or I mentor them, these students in turn train the next generation. So there is also partnership with different angles. The YAS platform now is a partnership, so goal number 17 is already fulfilled there. Whatever we do in energy has climate repercussions, so climate actions, number 13. Responsible consumption and production, because we work at the frontiers of sustainability as well, so that's goal number 12. And then goal number 11 is sustainable cities and communities. So some of the work we do has applications in building integrated materials and can be used in our day-to-day building infrastructure. So therefore, that also form part of that goal. So it might be cut across a lot of goals, but these are the most the few that I feel connected to strongly. So our work mostly, like I said, is in solar cells. And this the only slide that you are going to see about my research, right? So you use materials, and most of these materials are synthesized. They are carbon-based, so they are greener sources of material compared to silicon or cadmium telluride, which can be toxic sometimes, very rigid. The reason why we study this material is because they have various applications, right? We can play with their chemical structure, and by doing so, we can also change the range of their optoelectronic properties. So in terms of the electromagnetic wave, we can tune them from different applications. We can also tune the colors for that. So they can be ultra thin, ultra light, flexible, therefore can be made semi-transparent. So they have application in so many areas, some of which we are already using. So the tablet or iPad or phone, smartphones or TV, flat screen TV that we are using are already using this kind of technology. And our work mostly focus on organic semiconductors and hybrid perovskite, which is a hybrid between organic and inorganic material. I mean, if you want more details about the scientific aspect of the work, we can talk later. But today we are looking at professional development, and the idea is to talk about communicating in science. All the science we are doing, how are we able to make that known to the public? So today's lecture, I don't like calling lecture, but discussion, please stop me. I know I was told that I have 45 minutes, but feel free to stop me and ask questions if necessary. If not, you can put them on the chat as well. Is to talk about the main concept and format in communicating in science or communicating science. What is communicating itself? Communication is a type of communications. What does it mean? What does it mean when we say communicating in science, and the concepts and the format? So at least if you go home today with nothing, at least go with the concept and the format, right? That's the main point I want to raise. Now, communication, what does it mean? What does it mean, communication, or what is communication? It's basically a group of people or one person talking to the other, exchanging or trying to pass kind of information, feeling, ideas, thought. That's basically what it means, communication, right? So if I feel sad now, there are so many ways I can show that, right? You can look at my face already and know that this guy is sad, or I can express it with words. Or when you ask me, how are you doing today? We like doing that a lot as Africans. So that's our way of being very welcoming. So when you ask me, how are you doing? I can say, oh, today I'm not doing well. So there are so many ways to express. So the process of exchanging that feeling or that thought or that idea or information is what is communication. Now, there are 5 main ways we can communicate as human beings, or we have identified. You can do that verbally. So you speak your words like I'm doing now in this process. There's also nonverbal communication. So your body language, your facial expressions, stuff like that. Written, you can see in the slide, for example. So anything that is written down, we can do that communicating by writing. by listening. So we are doing like I'm speaking. So I'm doing a verbal and the rest are for now and the moment listening. That can change when somebody intervene or make comments. So listening is also a format of communication. That is why it is important in a conversation that you listen so that you can also make contribution. Then we have visuals. Now, I would say these have evolved over the years. Originally, what we were taught, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, and I would like people to comment now, is that we have two types of communication, verbal and non-verbal. That's what, things involve, right? So that's what I've known for long, but in the moment you begin to learn more that there's more to that. So visual is one of the things that I will also talk about today, and the key role that play in communicating science. Now, you have so many options. So your options of communicating an idea or information depends on a lot of things. The type of message you are putting out, the audience. Like today, we have a seminar. So the format or the concept is a seminar, and mostly since we cannot see each other in person, it's virtual, right? So I have to take into account the audience. And one way I can do a virtual communication very well is through slides. So what are the specific goals and the context? So those are the things you have to consider and then decide which way you want to go. Now, the option is not limited to one. You can have a combination of all these 5 at a point in time. So like we are doing now, I think, right? So we have the visual in here, we have the verbal, you have the non-verbal, my facial expression or stuff like that. You have the written in there, you have the listening that is happening from your end and soon from my end also when you begin to talk. And then you also have the visual, like the slide that you are seeing. So in this context alone, all these 5 are being practiced. So keep that in mind. So you have to decide what to do at what time. I also have to say that from now going, all the concept I'm going to introduce, I cannot do that to the fullness of its, how will I call it, its goal, because each of these concepts can make a talk or a topic of discussion on its own. So I think this today's professional development lecture is actually a challenge to YAS, that every single thing I'm going to touch on today can actually be dealt with in a separate lecture. And I think we should take that challenge on and see how we can do that. And it will become apparent when I start with those. So I'm going back to the introduction, how I introduce myself. So this is about communication. I could have decided to just use the words, right? Tell you I have my master's and PhD, the one you have on the left, but I decided to tow the visual way, because sometimes visual, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So sometimes people get things stuck in their mind when they can visualize it and get connected. Sometimes words do it best. So it's up to you to choose. So that's the reason why I decided, because today's topic is about communication, to introduce myself in these 2 formats. And then the first format, if you remember the pictorial one, you have the world map that is flat and at another time shrinks. So what we know is the round, visual of the world map, which shrinks Africa. So that's already one information you are passing. But if you look at the real format of the world map, which is the real representation in that flat format, you see Africa becomes bigger. So the points I'm trying to raise in this connection is that you have to deliberate in what you decide to do at what time and what you try to communicate. So along the line, you learn and then you perfect your communication skills. So keep that in mind. So communicating in science or communicating science, what are the traditional way? And then why do I call them traditional ways? I mean, that's what we are used to, right? So the first one is basically by speaking, right? Verbal speaking. So you see our wonderful SSR director or vice director here giving a lecture when she was here at Penn State. So we go to conferences. So this slide is just talking about conferences or what we do at gatherings, for example. On the left side, when I'm facing the screen, is a conference medium where you do oral presentation. So that is a verbal communication. And then on the left side, which is a poster presentation, and that is a written communication. And now the thing about poster is that it has the blend of the two. You have the written, the visual, the written aspect of it, and then you have the speaker that will be there that will give you a gist of it. So these are the traditional ways we have been communicating science over the years. We always talked about science among ourselves, and then we present our results. And that has not changed. That will never change. And that's why you have conferences. They are being multiplied day to day, and we get inundated with so many of them. And you also have to be very careful to know where to attend your conferences. So you need to find that area that's association or society that really represents your work to be able to communicate, because your communication is to make people know what you are working on, and people begin to appreciate it. So you need to choose the correct venue. That's the context. The longest traditional way that we communicate science is through books. And here I show you a selection of books that I use myself, that I have in my office. I used to teach, I used to read, and sometimes for research. So we communicate traditionally science through books, and there is a lot of these books on your shelves. I mean, if you remember physics, those who have done science, the physics books or chemistry books, or even literature, the Shakespeare or L'Enfant-Noir of Camara Lai, all those are books people who are communicating their ideas, be it from the literacy point, or basically literature or science. So one of them is book, and this can be a topic on its own. Conference discussion can be a topic on its own. How do you communicate in conferences? How did you prepare? Do you prepare for it? So today I'm not going to go to all those details. It's just to showcase to you what are the various ways, and then we can have proper discussions. Another way we communicate science traditionally, which has become the norm, is through publications. All right. So here I show you a few of my publication over the years in different journals. So you have to know the journals. You have to know which journal fits your work, or you can decide that with your co-workers or collaborators. Sometimes it's not easy because you have so many journals. Like I said, together with the books as well, or the conferences, there are proliferation of journal publishing houses. So you need to find your home and where your science or your ideas can be published for people to read. So a few more. So different publishing house. We have the ACS, which is a society publication house. You have Wiley, which is not really linked to a society. You have RSC, Royal Society of Chemistry, which is also society-based. You have Elsevier. I think a lot of us know Elsevier, based in the Netherlands, I guess. Wiley is probably in Germany. RSC is Royal Society of Chemistry is in the UK. ACS in America based. So more of that. So many ways you can show your work over the years. So once it's where that is done, and before this process, this is a whole process on it. Before you can have a work in this format, you need to do the work. You need to write it up. You need to revise it among yourself, the collaborator. Everybody must agree on it, and the authors must agree on that. And then you send to a publishing house. It will go to reviewers. You see Tabiri talking about reviewing. So that's what we do. We, the scientists, do the work. We review other people's work to say they are, this is good work and it should be accepted by either this is bad science or bad work, should not be accepted. So it's a whole process. This alone can also be a topic of discussion in professional development on its own. Now, the next part I want to go to is we communicate, but how do you communicate and connect with the audience? One way to do that, and that has evolved a bit, and this is it's not really a new concept, but it's a concept that has entered the scientific publication realm, whereby papers now ask for what we call the table of content image, right? So all the publication things that I've shown here, people now journal will ask you, what is that one picture or one figure or one schematics, whichever you call, one illustration that talks about your work. So imagine having a work of 10 pages, 12 pages in a journal format, and you're asked to just give one figure that represents the whole work. So it's just like an abstract, right? Abstract is like 150 to 200 words that talk about your science. So that has evolved. This is our recent publication. I've shared that in the chat as well. So recently we've done a lot. And here, these are visual way of telling the people the work in this manuscript or in this paper or in this article can be visualized this way. And one of them that is really I want to highlight is the middle one. The middle row, the middle one, that's a semi-transparent organic and perovskite PV for agrivoltaics. This is a review we wrote. And we try to say how it is important to use organic semiconductors and hybrid perovskites photovoltaics devices, because then we can, because I said at the beginning, we can control their chemical structure, and that leads to tuning of the optoelectronic properties. So if you can tune the optoelectronic properties, that means we can absorb or transmit in various wavelength of the electromagnetic spectrum. So therefore, we can use tuned material to create semi-transparent devices that can be integrated into our existing platform for not just agrivoltaic, but for indoor applications, for building skylight windows and a lot. So this is how we were able to show that in a graphical form. And so many more. Here at the top right, we have a recent review that we published on indoor photovoltaics for Internet of Things. You hear a lot about Internet of Things, those small gadgets that are sensors or any other ones that are driven by batteries, which are made from rare earth element, right? Very toxic. So if you can have solar, we can make solar cell, sustainable solar cell that can harvest indoor light, the light coming from your LED bulb or your incandescent light bulb, and reconvert that into energy to power those small devices like your wristwatch or your heart monitoring gadgets. So that's what this research is about. So these are all images we have conceived in our lab to represent. Right now you have 9 articles here. So each image is just talking about a particular article, so that when you see that image, you can think, oh yeah, I think I kind of understand what this article or this manuscript is about. So that's one way to connect to the audience. The audience doesn't need to look at your article to really understand that. So that's where communicating to the non-specialist audience comes from. They don't necessarily have to know the science to know this. So you have various ways you can do this. You can focus it on science, you can make it abstract, you can make it connect to society. And people are using, with advent of AI tools now, people are using a lot of tricks to really make this more appealing. About connecting to the audience, one thing people are also keen on now is how do you make your work relevant? So in the past, journals are published in prints. So you have books that are shipped and mailed to scientists or to interested parties around the globe. Until now, we begin to digitalize everything. But still, in the age of digitalization, we still have what we call the cover page. The cover page is basically an artwork. So basically, let me start from the artwork. Do artwork that represents your work. So here we're talking about in the left side, if I can use my, I've been saying left side all this time. Right, so this side, we are trying to look at how the interfacial material in organic photovoltaics processing, so the solvent that we use to process them, can affect their performance. So how do we visualize that? How do you make an art out of that? So if you look at this art, the first thing that jumps to your mind is not solar cells, right? Unless you are in the field, you will not know those are solar cells. But you can see inks or solvent or splash of liquid. So basically, that's what we wanted to depict, the importance of the solvent in the process, and that affect the material. And then if you look closer, you can see that every other things in this picture look as the same, right? This part is the same, this part is the same in all 3 figures, but what I change are the colors and then that material that is at the interface. So that's where the focus is. So how do you highlight that? Maybe if I don't explain this, you will not see it, right? So sometimes it's not easy to see the art. Then recently we also look at, we use a very small molecule in our active layer to kind of, change the performance or improve the performance of our solar cell. So here, how do we depict that? We have a solar cell, and then we have the molecule that is like we are pushing the molecule into the main layer of the system. Now, when you do that, basically what you are trying to do is tell people that the work I'm doing, this is how you can visualize it. Now, journals have also picked on that, and what they do is that they try to ask you if you have any cover art, artwork that you want to submit for publication. And when you submit it and they find it very nice or appeal, I don't know how they make the decision, so I can't make a comment on that. Then you are fortunate enough that they pick it and it becomes either the back cover or the front cover. So we tried this twice, and I think that's only 2 times I've done this since arriving at Penn State. And we were fortunate enough that every time we tried it, we got selected. So for the first one, we got selected for the back cover for the Journal of Material Chemistry, which is the Royal Society of Chemistry journal. And this article was also selected for the RSC Emerging Investigator Award. And then for this one, we were selected for the front cover of just this 8th July of the ACS Material Goal. That same journal that awarded us the ACS Rising Star Award in 2025. And this cover was printed in hard copy and just sent to me this week. So I'm fortunate to have it here. If I can try show it to you here in my office. So at least somebody comes to the office, I'm talking about my work, I can show them this and try to explain whether it makes sense or not. So you can do this in so many ways. You don't necessarily have to submit it for journal publication, but these are artwork that can make your presentation visually appealing. So you can see here, you can draw molecules in 3D. Here, this one I borrowed from one of my colleagues from the Netherlands, where they look at all the semiconductor material that has been used in the optoelectronic field and plot their potential or achieve efficiency together with their band gap. Now I'm speaking device physics. So pardon me if you don't understand it, but these are things we can discuss. So just to tell you how you can visually, show different aspects of your work. So I use this a lot to show that, well, there are so many elements or material that have been used in this work, and we focus on perovskite here and then organic here. So that's the reason why I use this, basically. And then I did this visual is something I've done myself to represent what my group is about. So there are so many ways you can show your work. You just have to put in the work and some tricks. I'm not sure somebody can take this and make it even better appealing. I just did this in PowerPoint. And then we also want to look at the device structure here. I show this too because this you see here that is illustrated here, the middle part of it, if you blow it actually to see what are the various element components that make that middle part is what you see here, right? So visual representation for people to see. So the solar panel that you see on your, that you see on the rooftop that looks so flat that way, these are the various components that can make it. So this, if you blow it in 3D, that's what it looks like. Now, another old and I would say traditional, but also connecting to the society way that we communicate design is through patents, for example. Patents are one of the oldest ways to lay claim. So it's also a publication, a way of communicating your science and say, okay, I've discovered something very, very interesting, and I keep hold of it. It's called intellectual property. And then you can patent your work and then have it. And this takes time. I mean, this can also be a whole discussion. Or usually when I'm teaching a class, I teach a class on professional development in material science. I have my head of department because he's one of the gurus in what is called industry and patenting. So he comes and give a whole lecture, at least 1 hour lecture on patent itself. And here I show this just to say that patenting is not far from us. I don't have a patent, but my spouse has 2 of those. So I try to show that as well. So that because she's also Ghanaian, she's African. So patenting is not something that is left to other people to do. It's something you can really do. I don't have that yet, but somebody home close to me have this. So just to tell you that it's possible. It just takes time. Takes like roughly a year to 2 to go through that whole process and have it done. It involves lawyers, so you can't write patents on your own. You need a how do you call it, attorneys to help you write that. Now, what are the other ways of communicating your science? So all of that I've said are very, rigorous process with review and that. You don't necessarily have to go through that. You can also communicate your science or your ideas through blogs, right? So when I joined Penn State, I don't know, people say, oh, he works on polymer, he works on energy. So people begin to contact you. So the Institute of Energy and the Environment contacted me to write a blog. And the blog that we wrote was about, I'm passionate about energy. So when they asked me what would be the topic, I thought I would write on energy transition. So what does it mean to transition to the renewable energy? And that's where I got to know. I know about blogs before, but I've not really taken keen interest into it and do it, right? So when the gentleman spoke to me, we had a meeting. All I was like, we can do it two ways. We can have question and answers, or you can write a whole set of stuff. I was like, well, I think question and answers will be more relevant because then we can answer specific questions in a way that the story will not be lost in that one block of storyline. So that's what we did, question and answers. And it turns out, funny enough, I was a bit hesitant. So I chose I was the last to write for that year. I think it's 2024. June 2024. By 2025, this blog article was viewed 9 million times, which was, I mean, the most view of any of my my scientific publications, right? And now has 8 citations on Google Scholar. So this is not a scientific work, but it's getting citations. So if you have ideas, you are passionate about a particular topic, you don't necessarily have to wait for you to do research before you publish. Just make sure that you are speaking facts, right? So that's how fortunate. And that's the only blog I wrote so far. They're still asking me to write another one, but I'm not sure I have the bandwidth for that now. But just to tell you, you can write blogs, right? You can also do podcasts. So if you want to read more about this blog I wrote, the link is there. I'm not sure whether we are going to share this slide, but I'll leave that to the YAS leadership, and then you can read. Or you can just Google me, and in the Google page, you can see the blog there. It's a very interesting piece where I talk about how the West and the continent are kind of leadership is antagonistic about how the energy transition should go, especially I made reference to Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, and then the ex-vice president of Nigeria, Osibanjo. I'm forgetting the last name. So it's a bit of politics, science itself, and then also the energy transition. You can also do podcasts. A lot of podcasts are now going on, and so you can communicate your scientific ideas. Some are established podcasts. You can also host your own podcast, right? That's done. But I just show these links there that I think, because I work in the energy field, that can be relevant and for you also to do. Now, how do you connect to the non-specialist audience in terms of communication? There's no one way to do that. And this is also another area of communicating science that can be dealt with as a whole lecture. One way to do that is what I'm doing here. Is to be prepared that the science you do, you don't just have to communicate it all the way that I spoke about, right? All of that are scientific. You can use the jargons. For example, if I'm talking about photovoltaics, I will talk about absorption, transmittance, electron hole pairs, light absorption lead to carrier generation. Those are things that maybe many on this platform will not understand, right? But we speak them anyway in our communication. Now, when you come to audience that do not know anything about that, how do you communicate that? So that means you need to reassess your way of communicating. So that's what I'm doing here. All these people, I'm fortunate to talk to the Rhodes scholars at Penn State. These are people who could be my parents or my grandparents, retirees who have no idea about material science or have rudimentary idea of material science, but knows nothing about organic solar cells. And I had to talk to them about it. And that was one of the sessions I really, really liked. So you need to begin to reassess your scientific language to bring it down to their level for you to be communicating with. And we don't do that enough. That's why scientists or scholars are seen to live in isolation. We are far, far from the reality. We have to begin to communicate in a way that people can understand. So one way I did this during the day at that time is to have a picture drawn, this through the help with one of my graduate students, Soo-Yeon Kim, where we try to say that if you make solar cell flexible, what that can do to you is that we can have them in this. This is how we build them, but the final product is what you see here. And with this final product, the many things, what are the applications? So you have to move away from the hardcore science and quickly move to what does this thing do, and how they can apply it, and how does that relate to their day-to-day life. And then when they ask you specific questions, you can go on to really explain. So I let them understand that all the research we are doing here, if they become manufacturable and are on the market, they can be integrated into their window, the window of their house that they have already. And they can be inside, and mostly you can fine-tune the colors and give it aesthetics. And instead of be generating energy, you don't need, sorry to say, NEPA from Nigeria to have electricity, or you don't need Ghana Electricity Company. No, you can generate your own electricity and even sell it to the grid. You can power your gadgets. You can have your own greenhouse integrate it to your own greenhouse in the house and grow your plants. We are talking about EV. If they become very resilient, they can be used to power in EV. So you need to find your ways of communicating science to the non-specialty audience, which is very, very important, because in the Western world, mostly research is funded by public fund, by the taxpayers' money. So you have to be able to let them know how you are using the money. Now, how do you talk about, how do you explain science to them in this way? Now, I try to let them know that before we can use all the other application is fine, but if we talk about building integration and greenhouse, they will not understand it, because if the thing is opaque, is dark, how do they work there? So if you make them say, okay, they can be semi-transparent. Semi-transparent, that means, well, you can make a device that can be seen through. So the question is, if you have to absorb light before you can have high performance, now you are saying you are making a semi-transparent, how do you absorb light? So you have to explain it to them. So what I used to explain to them, there's a tag of war, tag of peace. I mean, I don't know how people call this, between transmittance and efficiency. So you have to balance your characteristics of your device, your semi-transparent, in a way that you have to read that sweet spot when the two of them are high enough so that they can perform. So you need to use visuals, use words to be close to the audience if they are not your area. I started doing this long ago. My first experience was the 3-minute thesis at the University of Groningen when I was a PhD student. I wasn't first, I wasn't second. I got the People's Choice Award, where I talk about my work about donor and acceptor mixed together to make solar cells. And then you have to make them very efficient and very durable. So how do I explain that to the audience? I was like, well, the donor is like the donor acceptor are like couple. A couple in any work could be a male or a female or whichever, just a couple that is getting into a relationship, right? If they are compatible, then they can be in that relationship. How happy they are in the relationship is the efficiency. How they sustain that happiness over time through all the challenges that come in their life will be their stability. So stability, like you have tried the degradation agent. So you have to find a way to communicate that. So to the non-specialty audience, this is what you do. And then you can also make videos. So from here, because I got the People's Choice Award, the university sent a video crew to our lab to now come and highlight the work we do. And I also showed this just to tell you that you can't just communicate in written, you can also communicate verbally. So you do YouTube videos. Yomi here does YouTube videos to speak about what is passionate to her. You can also do that as well. So all of these, the links are there. You can go and visualize them. Now, the question is, this is the last part of it. The question is communicating science. Why do you even communicate in science? It's because you want to have impact. So if all that you are doing does not have impact, then you are lost in the communication anyway. So you have to make sure that you are communicating science at the traditional level. You can also communicate at the audience, non-specialty audience level. But what is that communication or the science you are doing? What's the impact and outreach? And this alone can be a whole topic. Actually, this is big in the US, where when you write any grant proposal, you don't talk about the broader impact and the outreach. Your proposal is not going to be funded. So the impact is my science I'm doing, I'm graduating student. So you can see my happy first student that I graduated at the master's level. We all look happy there, but doing science is not always happy. You also have to have fun in the lab. So I have students that I work with, which are from different places. So I'm going to highlight a few of them. These two ladies you see, they are from France. So the lab became popular that we get yearly students randomly from France who write to us that they want to do internship in our lab. And they pay for their own travel, they pay for everything, and then they just come and we pay for what they will use in the lab, right? So if you have funding to take care of yourself from visa up to your stay here, your hostel, your whatever it is. All we can provide you, we provide you space to stay, pay for your bench fees, pay for your lab equipment, and all of that. They can work. So mostly they also publish with us. So these two ladies will have publication with us. So they are from France. That means the group is growing. We have different nationalities there. This lady is an undergrad from Penn State, originally from Thailand, right? Very passionate, who has been with us for the past 3 years and still going. So, and we all gathered here because they made a surprise party, surprise meeting for me for my birthday. I think that's last 2 years or last year. So those are the impacts. If you have these impacts, people would like to be around you, or even if they don't like you, they should throw a surprise party for you to fake that they are liking you. So no matter whatever it is fine. This is me here talking about the pitfall of doing science. So that's the impact. You don't just communicate science, you also have to tell how science is done and what are the rules and the ethics. So I was talking to REU students, me also here interacting with students at Penn State who wanted to know more about my life journey in the middle here. And then this is me talking about science in general, what physics and chemistry have offered us as human beings to the young, we call them K-12 students. All of that are broader impact. You have to make sure that your science is relevant, telling them how energy plays a role in making all those gadgets. Then you have to have outreach community activities. I think Eric Moore can talk more to that because he's also in the same space. So I would love for other members to, when the discussion starts, that we go into this. Community outreach, and this is me. And this first one I highlighted, Eric Moore, is also part of this. This is very dear to me that we have a mentorship program that we create. That has been on hold a bit now, which is very, it worries me because I move a lot. You see my introduction, I moved from the Netherlands to Canada to the US, so it delayed that, but we have had a very good number of mentors. These are actually the mentors meeting, right? These are not the mentees yet. So see how many mentors are on this platform and that. And then the second one, I was a mentor to a program here in the US, a NASA program where high school students are brought together to think about life on Mars. So if you are trying to conquer Mars, how do we make life affordable on Mars? With what type of energy will I be there? So as an expert in energy, I was called on. I mean, I don't know them. Somebody just introduced me to them and then they call me. And then I have to mentor a setting. So different people mentor different groups, and here we meet where they are competing and presenting their ideas. So that's also the broader impact of your communicating in science. And the last point is proposal. I think this is too big for maybe the audience, some of the audience people who agree with me. So this can also be a whole topic on its own. And in that proposal, you have to show that your science that you are doing, how you are communicating it, and then how that is having a broader impact on the society. And I think this is where I'm going to stop. And then if you have questions and discussions, I will be happy to. Now, before I stop and go, I've shared two articles in the chat. If people still have access to it, please take a quick look at the abstract or read through if you have access. And what I want you to do, the one thing I didn't talk about is social media, right? How social media is being used in communicating science these days. So that's why I left that aspect for it. Read it. And then before we leave, during the chat, just post a social media. Social media is limited in words. So this is the exercise for you. Read those two articles and then post what you think the article is about in a social media post in the chat. And then Eric Moore, Tabiri, myself, Desmond, Michael, and Dr. Sarah Manson will read through, and at the end we'll decide who has the best post. Thank you. The conversation can go on. So I'll stop here. I give the floor back to Tabiri.
Yeah. So thank you very much. This is interesting. So I think the part that got to everyone was the images. People are asking, somebody's asking, what software did you use for that?
Yeah, there
Uh,
is a lot. I missed that. There is a lot of yes.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if there's question, just lead me to
So
that.
somebody said,
Mhm.
before we take the question, somebody says, do we have a special software for making this schematic diagrams?
Okay, that's a good one. I have to confess, I'm not digital savvy. So my student, myself, I do those. Most of those I do just with PowerPoint. So PowerPoint is a very powerful tool that you can use to make these things, right? I'm hearing from my student now that there are AI tools there that are designed to make images for you. And some of the images they are showing me, I can tell you, it's mind blowing. It's really nice. But I'm the type who is against using AI. So I tell them, if you use AI to draw any of the images in any of our work, you must indicate in the caption that you use this particular AI to help you. So what that does, they explain it to me, and I totally agree. It's not like they are picking the images from AI. They go to those tools, they have a concept in mind, they provide all the details to that tool, and the tool now, create the image for them, which may not be a bad thing, but I don't like doing that. I've never done it myself. So all the things I've shown you now, except for the ACS cover. So for the cover art, you have to be careful. I have to go back to that. For the art, we have the concept in mind. I need to just a disclaimer. So for this art, for example, we have the concept in mind. We've drawn it, but we can never draw this like this. So we have to go to a designer. So we've spoken to a designer who has now transformed our idea into this. So it's a process of you and the designer speaking throughout, and then you agree on the final one. So it involves money. We pay like, I don't know, $800 for this. And then after you do that, you send it to the journal, they'll review it. And when they accept it, you pay the journal to publish it again. So it's not easy. So let's not discuss the financial aspect now, but you can do this just for your own presentation, right? It doesn't necessarily have to go to the publishing house to be published. But yeah, so you can use PowerPoint, you can use any other tools that can make images nice for you. And if you use AI to just make sure that you state it that you have help from AI.
All right. I
Yeah.
think Dr. Eric Moore wants to say something. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
very, very nice talk as usual. I really enjoyed it. In
I
fact, this
hope
is
I hope
very
so, my
no,
professor.
no, no. This is very, very important,
Yeah,
and I'm happy that we are actually emphasizing science communication
yeah,
because historically, what's happened is that the scientists spend more time doing great experiment and spending less time communicating it well to the different audience, right?
yeah, yeah,
They are very good at even communicating it to their peers, but
yeah,
outside of their peers, it's a different story. So
yeah,
I really like the way you kind of layer it across different spectrum of the people we need to communicate it to, and
yeah,
also the different medium in which we can communicate them. I
yeah.
think that is really brilliant. That is great.
Thank you.
Um, you know, and just touching up on a couple more things, which is
Yeah,
important, and this is really more relevant to our African scientists, where they do very fantastic work, but the way it's kind of presented and communicated is really, really not great, right?
yeah, yeah.
And that's where it comes to the point where spending time to make really good graphics to sell them is important.
Yes.
And just like you mentioned, it costs. I was first surprised when you were not talking about the finances for it, but I'm happy
I
that
didn't want to say that, but the question.
eventually yeah, eventually I'm happy that it came down to it. It cost me at least on average $900 to make a really good graphics.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
every paper that we published that has a graphic, I don't make them myself.
Nice.
When God was sharing the gift of graphics,
Of
it
graphics.
looked like I wasn't really there. So I acknowledge that I don't try to do them myself. If
Yeah,
it goes
yeah,
beyond like doing small schematic in PowerPoint,
yeah.
it's normal. I've tried to learn Adobe,
Photoshop or Adobe
Photoshop.
Acrobat.
It
Yeah,
did not work out. So I gave up on it, right? So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
the point is that once you have the schematic, you can give it to people who this is their job.
Just
This is
their
what they
job.
do.
Yeah,
And they will charge you ranges 900 to 1,000 or more. We
yeah.
make them for proposals. We make them
Yes.
for papers. It's a serious business, right? It's a very serious business. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
easy
yeah,
to do. But
yeah.
now I think that AI has even democratized the process where
Mhm.
like me, I feel like AI images are always a little funky in my own
They are
opinion.
funky.
They're
That's true.
funky in my opinion, but
Yeah.
my students like them, and just like you, when they kind of use them, what I eventually would do is that, you know what, I'll say, okay, use AI to make it. I'll take the same AI image they make and pass it on to my traditional graphic artist. And then they
Yeah.
were like, no, prof, you don't need to spend 900. But I said, oh, don't worry, I'm happy to spend this one, right? You know?
It's the originality of it, right?
Yeah.
It's showing that it's original. And
Yeah.
this so one thing I want to say, I'm not cutting you short, but these graphic designer, or we call them scientific illustrators, the nice thing about it that most of them have scientific background.
Yeah.
Some of them have PhDs.
Yep.
So it's from that perspective that they're now gone. So you can say when they really understand what you want to communicate and they make it for you, it's just like, wow. And
Yeah.
AI cannot do that. So please
Yeah.
go ahead.
And one thing with all of those graphics that happens that I realize is that it forces you to be able to communicate your science to non-expert. In
Yes.
fact, with the first time I did a graphic, right, I had to meet with this person who does the illustrating, right? Even though he's a scientist, it was coming from a different field.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was like, you need to communicate this to me in 1 minute, in 7 minutes, and in 30 minutes, so that I'll be able to bring to bear the idea that you have. That
Yeah.
was when I realized that, wow, this requires a lot of skills,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So now it
Yeah.
forces me that for every, Alva, can you come back in? For every paper that I publish, right, I'll make
Yeah.
sure that we have like the 1 minute pitch,
Yeah.
we have the 7 minute,
7-minute pitch.
and we have like the 30 minutes pitch,
Speech.
like a typical presentation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
science communication is a big deal, and
Yeah.
I'm happy that you're spending time to do this. In
Yeah.
fact, I actually just order a couple book. They just arrived today. That is called like let me look the name. It's a very important. I found this and I was like, okay, I need to get this for all my students. Because it's really important. It's like
Yeah.
it makes the difference between being a great scientist and being like somebody nobody cares about. The title of the book is Storytelling with Data.
Yeah.
It's on
That's
Amazon.
data visualization. It's another topic on its own.
Yeah. Amazing book. So I encourage people to, you can get something like this.
Can you type that in the chat at least so that people who can afford it or who can get it from somewhere, because we are all learning, right? So
yeah, I will.
Type it in the chat. Yeah.
Brother, thank you so much, bro. Great presentation as usual. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's refreshing. I wasn't sure what I'm gonna present today, whether it's gonna make sense. But I just told myself I would tell the story, taking cue from my own work and showing different aspects. So I'm happy that it's appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not doing the introductions. I mean, we know ourselves, so we keep talking and we assume that the audience know the people that are talking. So the person who just spoke is Dr. Eric Mojusi, who is an assistant professor in MIT. So on the call today are very serious people, serious professors all over the world. And then we have Professor Michael, who is also at Wits University in South Africa. Nesta is hidden in there. Professor Ivy is also hidden in there. Yeah, you meet all of them.
So Ivy is my spouse. She's the one who has 2 patents. So if you want to talk about patents, talk to her. Okay. I am nobody. That's another level.
Yeah, maybe we'll have another time with her to just tell us her patent story. Yeah. I have 2 patents as well, a world patent and a US patent.
Great.
And the story is always fascinating to be told. So we might get Ivy here to tell us that story. We want to hear it one day. Yeah, any question?
I have a question from Desta. He said, he or she, I'm not, I think Desta is a guy. Thank you for that. I was particularly impressed by the beauty diagram. Where have you published them? And are they recognized as creditors in the same way as journal? Yes. Yes. So for these 2, for these 2 covers, the first one is published in the Royal Society of Chemistry. So you can see their logo here. And it has, usually it follows your article, but because this is a back cover, it will be like if you go on the digital page, it is published as a back cover, and that will be the last thing you see on the page, especially if you look at the issue, right? Different journal do it different ways. For the ACS, this is the front cover. So if you open my article, now they have also changed their format. You see this cover by the side of the article and any other article that is published in that issue. So today when I open Michael's article, my cover is still next to his article. So I'm getting free publicity. And it's published, it has I think it has the same DOI as your article. So it's actually recognized. I'm not sure what recognition it has compared to your article itself, but it actually follows it. It's like a free publicity. Somebody will click, somebody will be reading Michael's article, say, oh, what's nice image? They will click on it and that will send it to my article. So it's just a way of communicating your science, right? So they are recognized, they are published, and it goes through a review process. I'm not sure how they review that one. I'm not an expert in that. So that's the only thing I want to say. And also, how do you support early career scientists with publishing their research? I hope Desta can we can have a long conversation on it. It's difficult because I'm not, so if that question is direct, I know Michael hand is up, but I'll answer quickly so that Michael can come in. If that is directed to me as a person, then I will say yes. I have a way of supporting because I've realized that I'm not sure. I think we are all Africans here, but it doesn't matter. I will still speak my mind anyway. I realize that the publishing game or the publishing well, it's not fair to everyone. Even me here, I feel it, right? So especially if you're a scientist from Africa, it's difficult for you to publish. So personally, what I do is that if I have connections with people who do research in my area, or I have aligned interest with, usually I do get invitations. So there is journals invite a lot today. If I get an invitation to submit in a journal and I know that I have a work going on with an African scientist or an early career scientist, and I think that work will be interesting there, I do that. I'll give you an example. I've have 2 publications already, going to the 3rd one that I've done that way. That it's an invitation that is sent to me, but I share with my African collaborator, we contribute. And I also, just now, it will come out in the ACS Physical Gold, a young African scientist from Gambia, studying in the United Arab Emirates, I think, yeah. I don't know him from anywhere. He just contacted me out of the blue that I have this project going on. I'm writing this review article that is aligned to your work. I'll be happy if we can collaborate together on it. And so those are the supports personally that I can do. In general, there are support for early career scientists, especially from Africa, to publish in these journals because they are I think they feel like the most difficult aspect of the process is the money that is involved. So the APCs, we call it what's the full name of APT? Whatever publication charge, the fee that you pay to publish sometimes are waived.
Article
So
publication cost.
Yeah, thank you. You
article
have to
processing cost. And
sorry, they are waived.
Sorry, Nutifafa, let me quickly add something to that.
Yeah.
So, guys, the reason why we have the young African scientists is to solve some of these problems. But then we are not interested in having people just say, I'll write a paper, I'll put your name there, and then we'll get it published. That's not how it works. You would have to collaborate.
Yeah.
But also, a lot of people, if you check, if you are from a low-income country, what happens is that you can easily get waivers.
Yeah.
If you happen to collaborate with a lot of people in South Africa, in Germany, and also in most of the advanced countries. So what happens is that the government have actually allocated money, and then they have a standing relationship with this publishing house. And so what the publishing houses does is that when you see any hybrid journal and you work with some of these things, they can be able to now become maybe probably the corresponding author that allows you to publish open access. So there are a lot of ways to go around it. But the main thing is that work with the people, get some. So for instance, we have some work going on with Eric Moore, a lot of other people, other places. I mean, currently, Nutifafa and their team are working towards a book chapter that is going to be published by some of us here. And so working like that help us to leverage from each other's strength. So we would advise that you take advantage. Now, what the YAS does is that it helps people who are young people to connect to people who have access to some of these resources so you can go and spend some time in their labs. And that would actually help you. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want Michael to come in. His hands has been up for a
Yeah,
while.
I think the hand is spinning him now. And let's the audience ask
All
questions
right.
directly,
Yeah,
not in the text.
thank you
Yeah.
so much. I mean, Nutifafa, the first time I met you, I never knew that, you were really, really, really close. But I could pick that the energy is there, the heart is there, and that also showed in your talk today. Thank you so much for educating us.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add a few um, thoughts of mine to the journal cover. It's much more difficult to have your cover for you to be a cover to have that cover that you have than to publish. So it's a credibility on your scholarship. There are so many professors, even in the US, that when they have their cover accepted, they celebrate it like you've won gold. So I think that you've been humble in the way you have presented it. So it is not a paper, but it's more or less like the face of of a particular journal for a particular time.
Yeah.
So somebody like me, I don't have that in my in my list yet,
It will
and
come.
we look forward to having it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
having such is not an easy feat. So, but we should always strive to get it, to get to that place. I want to say congratulations to you. It's
Yeah.
quite
Thank you.
inspiring, and I hope that the young ones here will also start looking forward to, having something like that. It's not just the science alone. It's, using art to communicate science and science to communicate art. That's what you've done. So it goes through rigorous review process, and if you win that, I think that it's more or less like a validation of your scholarship. And I know that that's not the only one you would win. There will be more of those journal cover. So it is recognized, and of course, if you are in academia, maybe a PhD student who is trying to get a postdoctoral position or an academic position, if you're lucky to have a journal cover to your credit, that is a bragging right in your motivation letter for the job or position. It's not an easy feat to achieve. That's just what I want to say to the audience. So don't think it's just a mere artwork. It's very difficult to have it. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
before I take Adnan, there is somebody saying something nice in the chat. An early scholar watching with me here says to tell Nutifafa that your presentation was beautiful, that you were so eloquent. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Thank you. I
yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah.
it's
I
nice to have these comments.
yeah, I think. Oh, elderly scholar. Okay. I mean, people that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I think Michael said something that I just want to put that in context. I think Ivy also will. I shared that with Ivy. Sometimes I am on LinkedIn, right? So I saw a professor that I don't know had a post, and his post was all the journal covers he got over the years. I was surprised, like, why? So this man is established, he's a full professor, but he just take a screenshot of all the cover. And I'm telling you, it's a tall list. And I was like, wow. First, I was impressed. And the second, I asked myself, why is he doing this? Now, when Michael made this comment, I begin to appreciate, because when this come with, I mean, it just come and then you have it and then you put it in your office. You don't really celebrate and those kind of, I mean, I made a LinkedIn post about it, but I think we should also learn to celebrate our small wins. It's very, very important. Yeah. So
Yeah,
thank you for that.
Adnan, please go. You can unmute and then talk. After that, then we'll have Amina.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prof. I am very happy to be here. I got to know about YAS through Prof. Nutifafa.
Yeah.
So my own is just a question first,
Yeah.
and then I will confess about something very critical and why I feel I need to be a member of YAS. So I knew you through a lot of people online, Prof. Nutifafa, because I spent around 5 years struggling to find mentors who can guide me around DFT. I have met people in the US online, and they were able to guide me. In Saudi online, they were able to guide me. I couldn't get like Africans who were willing to guide me through like science, research, and stuff like that until I met an assistant professor, Obitayo, in from University of Central Oklahoma in the US. And God willing, through that mentorship, I was able to find myself as a
Nice.
PhD candidate in the US. I'm currently in the US from
Yeah,
January this year.
that's
So
great.
it's really a good thing. It's really a good motivation for we Africans to have a platform like this. And I also appreciate the organizers of this platform. So my own question is, how do I become a member? I will be happy to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tabiri will give you all the gist.
Yeah, so luckily you don't have to pay, you don't have to do anything. Just go to the YAS website. So we have YAS Link Up website, and if you go, you will see the membership tab. Just click on it and fill the form, and then you will receive all our meetings and notifications. There's also a WhatsApp group. So once you register, you will receive some information, and then you can follow up with it. If you registered for this particular lecture also, then we already have your information. You will receive stuff from us. So good you're here. And thank you for everything you said about us as well. YAS continued to be the Young African Scientists platform is going to bring the mentors to your doorstep. So don't worry. We're going to connect you to all the seasoned professors around the world. And today we're having a casual conversation with professors from MIT, Penn State, and all over the place. So that's how it's going to be. Amina, please go ahead.
Wait, Tabiri, schedule that young man to come and present something. That is how we get. Schedule him. Adnam Aliu, I notice you. I'm gonna add you on LinkedIn now, and I'm gonna pester you.
I also want to say that it's good that people the testimony he gave now is very, very important. The fact that he said he's been struggling for 5 years to get mentor, and he got Tayo from and that has changed. So I tell myself, so that's the last part of my talk today, that if you can do all the communication traditionally with whatever, connecting with the audience, if you have no impact, then that is meaningless. So the impact we want to hear is the fact that when somebody meets you, or when you make the acquaintance of somebody along the way, that has kind of incrementally, impacted their life. So I'm happy that you share that experience with us, and we hope that YAS does that for so many to come, and that's the purpose of this group as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, Amina, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Prof. Good evening, everyone. Dr. Nsifafa, thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. This is my second experience with YAS, and I must say, right from the very first one, it has been such an inspiring journey with the institution. Thank you so much. My question is from Beautiful Wonder, because the presentation took my mind overwhelming, and I started to think about the possibility of collaborating with well-established scientists internationally. I'm a young scientist in Nigeria, and I would like to have a visual image of what it looks like for me here to be able to approach or communicate with a mentor, for example, Dr. Nutifafa, to say, oh, I have identified this relationship between my interest and your work, and I would like to work with you. I'd like to know what it would look like for me to approach to want to be a part of your work, or to approach with my proposal on my work. Also, I'd like to have an image of what the communication would be like. Would it be through video calls, audio chats, or how that would be able to work? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a that's a loaded question. Thank you, Atlee. Thank you for asking, because then it makes us think. I would say personally, to me, okay, let me be straightforward. If you're contacting a professor, I see Eric Mohan, so I think he also react to this. I love that. If you are contacting the professor in the Western world or wherever it is, let me just put it, but I will tell you how it is here. People are overloaded. Okay, so personally, I've been reading a lot of emails, but now I'm struggling to catch up with emails. So I think that this has to be a one-on-one discussion. If it's me, you write to me directly. You have, like, I know you from this platform now, right? So if you should send me a message, then it becomes easier. But if you never met before on a platform and you want to make such a connection, it becomes an art. Now, I can say it's an art, but it's also misleading because we have different personality. The way I'll react to emails is different from the way Tabiri will react to emails, right? My schedule is different from Tabiri's schedule. I'll give you an example. You people may say, oh, Nisfafa is big because that difference now. I wrote an email to a professor recently to give me a support letter for a collaboration. And I'm giving this example not because it's a bad thing, but just to tell you how busy professors can be. I wrote that email 2 weeks ago. Can you believe the letter arrived at 10:30, but my proposal was already submitted at 9:56 a.m. So this is just a scenario to tell. I don't blame him. I still reply with gratitude that at least finally, after travel, he told me he was traveling. And then when he came back, he got lost through the emails. And then when he got the reminder, it's a bit late for him, but he's still sending it. So that tells you at least he considered me to be important, right? So this is how it is. People get their email mess up and sometimes you don't get replies. So I may not answer your question directly, but this can be a whole session on its own. So I think I'm throwing the challenge to Yas to see. I've been part of so many sessions where people ask questions about this, but there is no. The point I'm trying to drive at, there's no one correct answer to that. You just have to be, I would say persistence is the way. You just have to be persistent. You also have to be calculated. You also have to be respectful of the person's time. You don't send email today and after a week you send another one. No, that doesn't work that way. You need to leave some space. Maybe after a month you can send a reminder and stuff like that. Now, if you want to connect with me personally, I'm not sure of your area of research, but that is something we can discuss. If your area of research overlap with me, I talk about solar energy, but I do very specific thing in solar energy, right? It's so broad. So if our specific interest is aligned, then we can begin to talk. And I cannot promise anything because right now in the West, everything is dependent on money. But I can guide you in terms of what research you are doing now, what ideas you have, what you want to do, what's the next step, and those kind of things. And so many people on this platform can do the same thing.
Yeah. So the next.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And yes, and we are going to discuss this in our next meeting. So there is this thing that we are putting together, we'll call the panel, where we'll bring people like Professor Showejo and then you guys to be on a panel. And there will be a speed presentation by people that register to do presentation. So you come 15 minutes, you tell us your project that you're doing, your objectives, and then you get world-class professors to comment on your work. Now, if you want to make any linkage to anybody that we bring here on the YAS platform, then the email that communicated with you, the Young African Scientist email, just contact us with an abstract of your work and what the professor you want to connect to. Maybe they will not take your email, but when he sees my email, even if he's busy, he will glance. He will just pop it and let me see what he's trying to say. And that will be something that will be easy for you to get connected.
No, truly, that happens. That happens.
Yeah.
I can be in a meeting when I see Tabiri's email. I was like, yeah. So that's true.
Yeah. So that would be one of the ways that you can connect to anybody that we bring here. And we'll be bringing everybody. This year we have a very packed program. So just show up. And if you want to connect with anyone, just send us an email, and then we'll just try to get a person's attention for you. But it's real. It's a very difficult.
I see some pen stated here. George for Joy is here. That's nice to see.
Yeah, we're going to be out of here in 7 minutes. So I'll take Wahab.
Please,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Eric Mo wanted to add something. So Wahab, ask your question and then
yes.
Eric Mo will take it. And yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Please, to submit a research proposal to a certain professor who actually showed interest in working with me. I did interview with him and all that. So I'm here to submit a proposal to him. He has given me the topic to work on.
Mhm.
But then I'm done. But then I need an expert in nanotechnology to review it for me and then maybe give me some feedback for me to reposition it. So if I can get maybe anyone from here that to be of help to me
Yeah,
for me to
send it to the Yas email. Okay. You have the
okay.
Yas email, right?
Yes, please.
Yes, send it to the Yas email. I'll get somebody to look at it for you.
I thank you so much.
I think Michael
One
and
quick
Desmond are
one.
here, right? So
Yes, before Eric Moore comes in, we are missing some people. They've not registered for the certificate. We are going to give certificates for this. I have 40 people, but we've had 50 people on the platform. So if you have not registered, marked your attendance, please do so, so that we can send a certificate for this training to you. So Eric Moore, please go ahead.
quickly, I mean,
Okay.
I'm a bad agent, but before they get certificate, let them do the exercise. Okay, they should send you the social media posts about the articles. They should practice how to communicate in a short, the 3-sentence version.
Yeah.
Anymore, go ahead.
Yeah, just a very quick one. So we usually like to give back, which is like connecting with younger scientists. We are young too, right? But
Yeah.
folks, other people who are also trying to do research and get better. You know, the important things that I found in recent time, which I would just say try to avoid, is trying to impress the professor by writing with ChatGPT doesn't really work for somebody like me. Once I see it, it kind of just turns me off because what I'm looking for is originality, your
Originality.
ability to think for yourself. And
Yeah.
what we found with recent surveys that our generations is becoming less of a thinker. You know, just depending on different tools to be able to do stuff. So if you could really just put together your own thought in couple lines and send it to people, people like me, will definitely somehow, somewhere, we eventually will respond because we like to give back. For me, every year I take one student from Africa to work with one of my students. But I don't these days I don't do it myself. I rely on colleagues who have programs existing to bring people on board, and I'll reach out to them. Do you have a student to that you want us to be able to mentor? And it's been very, very successful. So something like that will work, and I'm planning to increase it to 3 students next year, right? So things like that really become useful, helps people to be able to get really good research experience that help them to become even more competitive. So reaching out to us works really, really well, and also reaching out to people who already have established program for bringing Africans to their lab or
Yeah.
for internship and things like that. I know Notice Papa is very, very big on that, super big on that. So somebody like him is one of your main plugs. Somebody like me, if you go to my website, you don't see it because I depend on people like Notifafa to be able to feed me those sort of they are the pipeline to help me get the student because there's no point replicating what is already doing, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather support what is already doing than try to replicate it. So we're always very happy to help, but the work is very, very busy. It's really, really busy. So if we don't respond, it's not because we don't want to, it's just because it's a crazy world. But eventually we do respond. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Eric
So
Moore, I'm gonna feed you, student. Now you said it. I have about 16 of some serious
That's
students
too
on this
much.
thing
That's
right
too
now.
much food. That's too much
So
food.
I will feed you. Don't worry.
I'll take one from you.
Yeah, I also quickly want to add to what Remo said, which is very, very important. It's not just about your document, it's also about the email. Okay. I can tell you for a fact that we have all been in that position. And we know some people are just good, but I know when I was there, the type of email I'm sending, I know how it sounds, I know how it reads. Sometimes you get some email, you feel like, no, this is like You don't want to send an email for a professor to read and feel like, okay, I mean, they know it's ChatGPT or they know it's AI tool that compose the email. The first signal is sense that if you cannot compose your own email, then what are you going to do as a scientist, as a scholar? So that put them off. So if you normally do that, please start desisting from that. You can write an email. And if you're not too sure of the email, have somebody read the email through for you. Okay, that's better than to use ChatGPT to compose email and send to faculty. I mean, you send it to me, that's fine. But if you send to, I mean, I'm not saying it's fine to send to me anyway, but I'm just telling you, send it to other faculties, that it turns them off, just like Eric Moore said now. So I also want to put that one out there. Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much, Latifa, for your final words.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And my final word will be that think about communication very well, not just in sciences, but in everything you do, right? It's what brings you money. I mean, we talk about this. I made it look as if I'm a professional. I'm also struggling. That's the fact. We need to speak the fact. All my proposals that I've written for the past 2-3 years have been returned declined. Does it mean that I'm telling you today communicate? Does it mean that I'm not communicating well? Maybe there's something I have to do better, right? So it's a learning process, okay? So everything you do, communication is important. Learn how to communicate and know your audience and know how to speak to the audience. That's all I will say. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for being on the YAS platform, the Young African Scientist platform. Thank you very much, everyone, for spending the time that you've spent with us. This is a recorded video. It's going to be on our YouTube channel and on our website. So anybody who missed it in the group or those that are registered will receive an email from us that says that here's the link to the meeting. So thank you very much, everyone. God bless you for being with us. Our next lecture is going to be in biomaterials. And Dr. Sarah is going to deliver that presentation. We're going to send the flyers and the link for registration very soon and to get all of you to come back. You're going to come back every month, sometimes twice in a month or once in a month. So please, we need you to come back and come with your questions, come to make the connections. I see somebody is looking for a postdoc position in the chat. Please send an email to the YAS platform. I'll circulate it to all our links. And if somebody needs you, then the person will be able to reach you. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless you. And see you in the next meeting. Bye-bye.